see as far as LSU Stadium, and you can see the Mississippi River. So this is a pretty neat building. When Huey Long had built this building, it was the tallest state capitol in the entire country. It was right here in Baton Rouge. That's pretty neat. How many of you know where the old state capitol is? Have you all seen that? That's on the river. It kind of looks like a castle, doesn't it? And you can still go there and take tours and have private parties there. But it was too small for them to use for the House in the Senate, so now they just use it for other functions. Well, Huey Long was a very famous governor, but we've had other governors since then. And I want to talk to you just a quick minute about what the governor does. Now, how many of you know that there are 3 branches of government? Have you all learned that yet? Yes, sir. All right, I want to know who can name one of the branches of government. I'm going to call on somebody right here. Judges, that's exactly right. Who can name another one right there? Legislative, that's right. There's just one more left. Who can name that one? Executive, that's exactly right. That's very, very good. So the governor is the head of the executive branch. Like the president's the head of the executive branch up in Washington, D.C. for the entire country. And then in the legislative branch, we got senators like Jody, and we've got representatives, and then you've got the judiciary branch with judges. That's very, very good. You know, being governor is a great job because you get to work every day for the state. You get to work on things like schools and roads and jobs. You know, it's a very good job, and I like doing it. Now, how many of you know, how many years do you get to be governor? Does anybody know? How many years? Yes, ma'am. 4, that's right. It's 4 years at a time. And so I'm in my 2nd term. And now you can only have 2 terms in a row. So now I've got this year and then 3 more after that. So that's exactly right. It's just like president. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely a girl can be a governor. Our last governor was a female governor. Does anybody know who the last governor was before me? So y'all can say it out loud if you know. Kathleen Blanco, that's right. And she was our very first female governor in the state. But you know what? I bet you we're going to have more female governors going forward. And now there are a lot of female governors in other states. New Mexico's governor is a woman. And there are many governors. The last governor of Kansas was a female governor. So there are women that are governors all over this country. All right, I'm going to tell you just a couple of final things. I want to answer as many questions as I can, okay? Have y'all learned the concept of checks and balances? Do y'all know what that means? Not yet? All right. Do y'all know what it means to live in a democracy? All right. Do y'all know what elections are? Yes, sir. All right. Now, tell me, by raising hands, I want somebody to explain to me what it means to vote and what an election means. And I'm going to try to call on somebody who hasn't spoken yet. So if you've already spoken, let's give somebody else a chance. Right over here.
It's like when people, like if people are running for president or something, and you vote on them.
That's right. Now, does anybody here know that we had an election on Saturday in Louisiana? And who won that election? If you know, raise your hand. Well, actually, I'll just say it out loud. Who won that election? Yes, Rick Santorum. That's right. Rick Santorum came in first. And you know what's great? And I want to close with this, because this is really, really, really important. That our founding fathers, over 200 years ago, they decided on checks and balances. What did that mean? That means that they had 3 branches of government because they didn't want any one branch to be too strong. So they wanted to make sure that the executive, the judiciary, and the legislative branches all work together. Well, you know what's really neat? We live in a state, we live in a country where you get to vote. When you're old enough, you get to go elect your leaders. And you know, that's not true in other countries. There's some countries where they have dictators, where they have kings, where you have to have the right last name to be in that office. We're not like that. You know, my daddy wasn't governor, and I got to be governor. I was born and raised here, went to school here, and I just got the most votes. I worked hard and asked people for their votes. If you work hard, if you study hard in school, you could do the same thing. And that's pretty neat. We get to hire and fire the people that represent us, whether it's our senators, our governors, our representatives, or even our president. This year we're having a presidential election, so we get to select our president. That's not true in every other country. That's a really, really neat thing. The last thing I'll tell you before I take your questions is, you know, the most important thing you can do right now, whether you want to be a governor or a teacher or a doctor or a nurse or a lawyer, engineer, whatever you want to do, is that it's so important you work hard in school. You've got great teachers. You've got to listen to your teachers. You work hard. You study hard in school. You can be whatever you want. You can grow up. And that's the most important thing I want you to remember when you visit the Capitol. Right now, the most important thing you can do in addition to listening to your parents is to work hard at school. All right, now I want to take as many of your questions as I can. So if you, I should have told you, by the way, this is now the press conference room. And so when, it's called the governor's press conference room, and so when I do interviews, I stand right behind that podium right there. And the reporters, usually the tables are arranged differently, the reporters are there. The TV cameras are in the back, and there are cameras up there. There's a camera up there that can broadcast press conferences here on the internet. So if you ever see me on TV sometimes doing interviews in this room, it'll be right here. This is the press conference room. And so you can tell your friends, you're actually in a room that's on TV a lot. And I'm not the only one that uses it, but it's that's what it's used for today. All right, let me try to take as many questions as I can. Right here. How many stories tall? That's a good question. That's 32. I don't go above the fourth. I don't go above the fourth floor. So this is that's a very good question. Yes, ma'am. The best part, that's a very good question. The best part about being governor is that every day you get to